Chapter 9. And getting the 12 together, he gave them power and authority over all evil spirits and over diseases, to make them well. And he sent them out to be preachers of the kingdom of God, and to make well those who are ill.
他把12个人召集起来，赐给他们能力和权柄，胜过一切邪灵和疾病，使他们痊愈。又打发他们出去做神国的传道人，使有病的人痊愈。
And he said to them, Take nothing for your journey, no stick or bag or bread or money, and do not take 2 coats. And if you go into a house, let that house be your resting place till you go away.
他又对他们说：你们在路上什么都不要带，不要带棍子，不要带包，不要带饼，不要带钱，也不要带2件衣服。你们若进了房子，就以那房子为你们的安身之所，直到你们离开。
And if any people will not take you in, when you go away from that town, put off its dust from your feet for a witness against them. And they went away, journeying through all the towns, preaching the good news and making people free from diseases in all places.
若有人不收留你们，你们离开那城的时候，要把脚上的尘土除掉，作为对他们的见证。他们就走了，走遍各城，传扬这好消息，使各处的人没有病。
Now Herod the king had news of all these things, and he was in doubt, because it was said by some people that John had come back from the dead, and by some, that Elijah had come, and by others, that one of the old prophets had come back to life.
希律王得了这一切的消息，心里疑惑，因为有人说，约翰已经从死里复活了，又有人说，以利亚来了，又有人说，有一位老先知复活了。
And Herod said, I put John to death, but who is this, of whom such stories are given to me? And he had a desire to see him. And the 12, when they came back, gave him an account of what they had done. And he took them with him and went away from the people to a town named Bethsaida.
希律说，我已经把约翰治死了，但这是谁有这样的故事给我听呢？他就有心想要见他。12个人回来的时候，把他们所做的事告诉他，他就带着他们离开众人，往一个名叫伯赛大的城里去了。
But the people, getting news of it, went after him, and he was pleased to see them, and gave them teaching about the kingdom of God, and made those well who were in need of it.
众人得了消息，就去追赶他，他也欢喜见他们，给他们讲神国的道理，使需要的人得了健康。
And the day went on, and the 12 came to him and said, Send these people away so that they may go into the towns and the country round about and get resting places and food for themselves, for we are in a waste place.
天亮了，12个人来到他那里，说，打发这些人去，让他们到周围的城里和乡下，为自己找些脚的地方和食物，因为我们是在一个荒地。
But he said, Give them food yourselves. And they said, We have only 5 cakes of bread and 2 fishes, if we do not go and get food for all these people.
但他说，你们自己给他们食物吧。他们说，我们只有5饼2鱼，若不去给这些人找吃的。
For there were about 5,000 men, and he said to his disciples, Make them be seated in groups, about 50 to a group. And they did so, and made them all be seated.
因为有大约5000人，他对门徒说，叫他们分批坐下，大约50人一组，他们就照样叫他们都坐了。
And he took the 5 cakes of bread and the 2 fishes and, looking up to heaven, he said words of blessing over them, and when they had been broken, he gave them to the disciples to give to the people.
他拿着5饼2鱼，仰望着天，对他们说祝福的话，掰开了，就交给门徒，叫他们分给众人。
And they all took the food and had enough, and they took up of the broken bits which were over, 12 baskets full. And it came about that when he was in prayer, by himself, and the disciples were with him, he put a question to them, saying, Who do the people say I am?
他们都拿着食物，吃得饱饱的，又把打碎的东西拿起来，满满的12个篮子。后来他自己祷告，门徒和他同在，就问他们说，众人说我是谁？
And they, answering, said, John the Baptist, but others say Elijah, and others, that one of the old prophets has come back. And he said, But who do you say that I am? And Peter, answering, said, The Christ of God.
他们回答说，施洗的约翰，但也有人说是以利亚，还有人说是救先知中的一位回来了。他说，但你们说我是谁呢？彼得回答说，是神的基督。
But he gave them special orders, not to say this to any man, saying, The Son of Man will undergo much and be put on one side by the rulers and the chief priests and the teachers of the law, and be put to death, and on the third day he will come back to life.
但他特别吩咐他们，不可对人说这话，说人子要受许多苦，被官长和祭司长并律法师摆在一边，被处死，第三天又要复活。
And he said to them all, If any man has a desire to come after me, let him give up all, and take up his cross every day, and come after me.
他又对众人说，人若有心跟从我，就当舍弃一切，天天背起他的十字架，来跟从我。
For whoever has a desire to keep his life will have it taken from him, but whoever gives up his life because of me, will keep it. For what profit will a man have if he gets all the world, but undergoes loss or destruction himself?
因为凡有心保全自己生命的，必被夺去；凡因我舍弃自己生命的，必保全他。因为人若得了全世界，自己却受亏损和毁灭，有什么益处呢？
For if any man has a feeling of shame because of me or of my words, the Son of Man will have shame because of him when he comes in his glory and the glory of the Father and of the holy angels.
因为人若因我和我的话有羞耻心，人子在他的荣耀里和父及圣天使的荣耀里来的时候，也要因他有羞耻心。
But truly I say to you, some of those who are here now will have no taste of death till they see the kingdom of God. And about 8 days after he had said these things, he took Peter and John and James with him and went up into the mountain for prayer.
我实在告诉你们，现在在这里的人，有的还没有尝过死的滋味，直到看见神的国。他说了这些话以后，约有8天，就带着彼得、约翰和雅各上山去祷告。
And while he was in prayer, his face was changed and his clothing became white and shining. And 2 men, Moses and Elijah, were talking with him, who were seen in glory and were talking of his death which was about to take place in Jerusalem.
祷告的时候，他的脸就变了，衣服也变白发亮了。有2个人，就是摩西和以利亚，正在和他说话。他们被看见在荣耀中，谈论他的死亡，那是要在耶路撒冷发生的。
Now Peter and those who were with him were overcome with sleep, but when they were fully awake, they saw his glory and the 2 men who were with him.
彼得和与他同在的人都睡了，等他们完全醒了，就看见他的荣光和与他同在的那2个人。
And when they were about to go away from him, Peter said to Jesus, Master, it is good for us to be here. Let us make 3 tents, one for you and one for Moses and one for Elijah, having no knowledge of what he was saying.
他们要离开他的时候，彼得对耶稣说：“主人，我们在这里是好的，让我们搭3个帐篷，一个给你，一个给摩西，一个给以利亚。”对他所说的话一无所知。
And while he said these things, the shade of a cloud came over them, and they were full of fear when they went into the cloud. And there was a voice from the cloud saying, This is my son, the man of my selection, give ear to him.
他说这些话的时候，有云彩的阴凉照着他们，他们进了云彩，就满心害怕。云中有声音说：“这是我的儿子，是我所拣选的人，你们要听他的话。”
And after the voice was gone they saw that Jesus was by himself. And they kept quiet, and said nothing at that time to any one of the things which they had seen. And on the day after, when they came down from the mountain, a great band of people came to him.
那声音过去以后，他们看见耶稣是自己一个人，他们就安静下来，当时没有对人说他们所见的事。第2天，他们从山上下来的时候，有一大群人来到他那里。
And a man from among them, crying out, said, Master, I make a request to you, give a thought to my son, for he is my only child, and see, a spirit takes him, and suddenly he gives a cry, twisted in pain and streaming at the lips, and when it goes away from him at last, he is marked as from blows.
其中有一个人喊着说：“主人，我向你请求，请你看顾我的儿子，因为他是我的独生子。你看，有鬼附在他身上，他忽然喊叫，痛苦的扭曲，嘴唇流泪，最后鬼离开他的时候，他就像被打了一样。”
And I made a request to your disciples to send it out of him, but they were not able to do it. And Jesus said, O generation without faith and false in heart, how long will I have to be with you and put up with you? Let your son come here.
我向你的门徒请求，把他从他身上发出来，但他们不能这样做。耶稣说：“没有信心、心里虚假的世代啊，我还要与你们同在，忍受你们多久呢？让你的儿子到这里来。”
And while he was coming, he was pushed violently down and twisted by the evil spirit. But Jesus gave sharp orders to the unclean spirit, and made the boy well, and gave him back to his father.
他来的时候，被邪灵猛地推倒，扭住了。但耶稣对那污秽的灵下了尖锐的命令，使那孩子好了，并把他还给了他父亲。
And they were full of wonder at the great power of God. But while they were all wondering at all the things which he did, he said to his disciples, Let these words go deep into your ears, for the Son of Man will be given up into the hands of men.
他们对上帝的大能充满了惊奇。正当他们为他所做的一切事惊奇的时候，他对门徒说，这些话要深深地记在你们心里，因为人子要交在人的手里。
But this saying was not clear to them, and its sense was kept secret from them so that they were not able to see it, and they had fear of questioning him about it. Now there was a discussion among them about which of them would be the greatest.
但这话他们不明白，意思也向他们隐瞒，使他们看不出来，他们就怕问他。现在他们中间有人议论说，他们谁是最大的？耶稣看见他们心里的议论。
But when Jesus saw the reasoning of their hearts, he took a small child and put him by his side, and said to them, Whoever gives honor to this child in my name, gives honor to me, and whoever gives honor to me, gives honor to him who sent me. For whoever is least among you all, that man is great.
就拿了一个小孩子，放在他旁边，对他们说，凡奉我的名荣耀这孩子的，就是荣耀我；凡荣耀我的，就是荣耀那差我来的。因为你们中间谁最小，那人就大。
And John, answering, said, Master, we saw a man driving out evil spirits in your name, and we did not let him do it, because he was not one of us. But Jesus said to him, Let him do it, for he who is not against you is for you.
约翰回答说，主人，我们看见有一个人奉你的名赶鬼，我们却不让他做，因为他不是我们的人。但耶稣对他说，让他做吧，因为不反对你的，就是支持你。
And it came about that when the days were near for him to be taken up, his face was turned to go to Jerusalem, and he sent men before, and they came to a small town of Samaria to make ready for him.
到了他被接的日子近了，他就转脸要往耶路撒冷去，就打发人前去，到了撒玛利亚的一个小城，要为他做准备。
But they would not have him there, because he was clearly going to Jerusalem. And when his disciples, James and John, saw this, they said, Lord, may we send fire from heaven and put an end to them.
但他们不愿意他在那里，因为他显然是要到耶路撒冷去。他的门徒雅各和约翰看见了，就说，主啊，我们可以从天上降火，把他们灭了吗？
But turning round he said sharp words to them, and they went to another small town. And when they were on the way, a certain man said to him, I will come after you wherever you go.
但他转过身来，对他们说了尖锐的话，他们就往另一个小城去了。他们在路上的时候，有一个人对他说，你到哪里去，我就到哪里去。
And Jesus said to him, Foxes have holes and the birds of the air have resting places, but the Son of Man has nowhere to put his head. And he said to another, Come after me. But he said, Lord, let me first go and give the last honors to my Father.
耶稣对他说，狐狸有洞，飞鸟有地方歇脚，人子却没有地方安身。他又对另一个人说，你来跟从我。他说，主啊，让我先去给我父亲送终吧。
But he said to him, Let the dead take care of their dead, it is for you to go and give news of the kingdom of God. And another man said, I will come with you, Lord, but first let me say a last good day to those who are at my house.
耶稣说，让死人照顾他们的死人吧。现在是你去传神国的消息。又有一个人说，主啊，我要和你同去，但先让我向在我家的人说最后的问安。
But Jesus said, No man, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is good enough for the kingdom of God.
耶稣说，人若把手放在犁上，再回头看，就不够革进神的国了。